What's going on, guys, and welcome back to News to the Science, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. My name is Ronnie, and today we're going to talk about Thomas Haden Church's Sandman possibly returning in Spider-Man 4, or whatever that may be as far as Tom Holland's next movie or Tobey Maguire's next movie, but I think we're going to be leaning towards the latter, which is going to be Tom Holland's fourth Spider-Man movie. There's a possibility that Thomas Haden Church's Sandman could be returning, and you may be asking, well, how's that possible? Because last we recall, in Spider-Man No Way Home, Thomas Haden Church's Sandman's powers were actually taken away, and he was reverted back to human form, when in actuality he's not entirely human, and he probably still has his powers laying dormant, and there's a possibility he can come back as Sandman, and there's a reason why for it, and we're gonna get to all the details in just a bit. But before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell notifications so y'all don't miss anything. I post videos on the daily, and I do live streams from time to time. Join my Discord. The invitation link to that is in the description box below, along with the links to my socials, which you can find me at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and even Twitch, if you want to check out other kinds of content that I put out there as well. This is coming from Dexerto. Spider-Man 4 Thomas Haden Church may return as Sandman, and Church made his debut in 2007 Spider-Man 3 playing Flint Marko, and the down-on-his-luck thief and killer who fell into a particle accelerator and transformed into a shape-shifting villain. 15 years later, Spider-Man No Way Home saw Tom Holland's friendly neighborhood web-slinger team up with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to fight their collective rogues gallery, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Lizard, Electro, and Sandman, with Church reprising his role. Speculation is rife about who or what Holland's hero could face in Spider-Man 4, but with recent rumors suggesting multiple villains could be involved, Sandman may be among them. In a new interview with the This Insider ahead of the release of The Acid Man, Church discussed his role in the No Way Home while addressing the possibility of another appearance down the line. We had a whole story involving his daughter for No Way Home, and it just ended up cut. There was just so much going on, he said. While I do agree that there was quite a bit going on in Spider-Man No Way Home, which is one of the many concerns that a lot of us fans and viewers had for Spider-Man No Way Home, where a movie like this gets over convoluted when there's just so many characters and a lot going on. It was evident in Spider-Man 3 and of course The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and we thought the third time around Sony's just not learning their lesson after making another attempt in trying to desperately include the Sinister Six. In this case, it was like the Sinister Five, but overall they ended up executing it because we already had been familiar with all these villains that made the appearance in Spider-Man No Way Home. We were already familiar with all the characters, that we didn't need any necessary backstory to all of them, because if you wanted any backstories, you could just simply rewatch the original Spider-Man movies. The Hollywood Handle made this tweet that said Thomas Haden Church revealed that he had talks with Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal about returning as Sandman in the MCU, and I would say that the conversations had been about the possibility of Sandman coming into a future iteration of it. And when we last saw Flint, he was transported back to his own universe thanks to Doctor Strange, rectifying the mess made by his own spell. According to Church, there may be more of his story to tell. John and I, Amy Pascal, and Kevin, we all had a lot of conversations, and I would say that conversations have been had about the possibility of Sandman coming into a future iteration of it, he continued. The conversation has happened about him coming back and maybe picking up a more fulfilling story, you know, with Flint and being not just Sandman, but returning to human form. And now we're going to talk about everything that we know about the cast, the plot, and more in Spider-Man 4. So Holland first debuted in the MCU as the friendly neighborhood wall crawler in Captain America Civil War, then appearing in Infinity War and Endgame, as well as in his own trilogy, Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. The latter film saw him team up with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spidey in a fight against the villains from the hero's past, and the movie gave Spider-Man a clean slate in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So here's what we know about Spider-Man 4 so far, from its possible release date, any trailer, cast, plot, and more. And is there a Spider-Man 4 release date? It doesn't have a release date just yet, but it's believed that the movie will be released on July 12th, 2024. That's literally about a year from now. That's right around the corner. Next thing you know, we're right there. This release date comes courtesy of the Cosmic Circus, a reputable leaker. However, if it's not July, Sony has an unconfirmed Marvel project set for release on June 7th, 2024. This would place Spider-Man 4 between Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts movie, with all three hitting cinemas in the space of a few months. So we can definitely say this with certainty that it won't be released in 2023. I think it's too soon, because remember, Spider-Man No Way Home came out right at the end of 2021, as we're already getting Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Madam Web next year, and the immediate slate for the MCU's Phase 5 seems to be set in stone. So while there hasn't been much conversation regarding Spider-Man 4 at recent conventions, it's definitely in the works. This is not the last movie that we're going to be making with Marvel. This is not the last Spider-Man movie. Sony producer Amy Pascal told Fandango. At least I'm glad to hear. And they're still going to be working with Marvel Studios. And we're getting ready to make the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and Marvel. We're thinking of this as 3 films, and now we're going to go on to the next 3. This is not the last of our MCU movies. In an interview with the New York Times, Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige also said, Amy Pascal and I, and Disney and Sony are talking about the next movie. Yes, we're actively beginning development where the story heads up next, which I only say outright because I don't want fans to go through any separation trauma like what happened after Far From Home. That will not be occurring this time. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Feige also said Spider-Man 4 was currently being written. This is really exciting news. And about Thomas Haden Church returning, I just want to say one thing. If there's only probably one minor critique that I had about the movie, is that I think Sandman and even the Lizard, but since this video is mainly about Sandman, I think he didn't get much closure in this film. I feel like he was left without closure, even though he was, I guess you can say, cured of his powers. I don't think that there was any closure left in this movie with him. And I think where the villains shined the most was, of course, Doc Ock, Green Goblin especially, and of course, Electro. Electro's character in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't executed really well. The other villains had their chance to shine with the exception of Sandman and of course the Lizard. But more or less, I think Sandman needed more of a treatment, at least a better treatment in the film. But of course, as it was explained earlier in this video, and like how Thomas Haden Church put it, they did have a story around it, but it was probably getting over convoluted at that point because as it is, there was already 5 villains set to appear in this movie and there was a lot of characters to focus on, and just throwing in an extra story would have just made a bit of a mess of the film. And I think Spider-Man No Way Home is a solid movie, and it's probably the best out of the entire Spider-Man trilogy in the MCU. It's a solid movie. It's a fun time. It was perfectly executed. All the characters that we've seen make an appearance in this movie, we already knew their backstory, so it was perfectly fine and excusable to have a bunch of characters show up. Not like how in the past films we had a bunch of characters show up in Spider-Man 3 and of course The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts about the possibility of Thomas Haden Church's Sandman reappearing, or at least reprising his role as the Sandman in a future Spider-Man movie, and would you like to see this character have some closure in those movies? Comment down below with your thoughts and theories. I like to read them, and as always guys, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so you all don't miss anything, and as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.